As usual, we will start with a moment of quietness, of stillness, closing our eyes, bringing the awareness in the middle of the chest, a little to the right, that place that we point to when we say I. From there, we embrace everything with kindness, with love, with compassion. We open our hearts to the divine grace to inspire us. And now, slowly we open our eyes and we are ready to start. Today we will continue our exploration of the 8 parts of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the 8 parts of the yoga, and we will speak today of pranayama, a word that is very interesting because it means in the same time and can be translated in the same time in 2 ways, and both ways have an importance for us to understand better the way that we can use this uh, breathing actually so that we can deepen our meditation. The 2 ways that we can explain or speak about this uh, pranayama is by doing in this way. We can split the word in prana ayama, that means lengthening, making the breathing to be how do I say in English? I have some difficulties. So yama means to end. Is the name of the god of death, of dying in Hindu mythology. So, like in yamas, from yama and yamas, yamas means to end, and ayama means to not end. So, when we explain like this, pranayama means lengthening the breathing, so that a cycle of inspiration and expiration will be longer. So usually, I don't know, we breathe like 15 times a minute or so. But we can go to 1 or 2 times a minute. Like the breathing will be very, very slow. And this is one meaning, slowing the breathing. In a lot of yoga books, old yoga books, old yogas, the how much we live is correlated with how much we breathe. So it's like we have a number of breathings for all our lives. And if we breathe faster, we live shorter. If we breathe longer, so the cycles are longer, we live longer. But for sure, it's not exactly like this, and it's not an exact science, but usually they use the lengthening of breathing so that we slow down. Because if we breathe slow, our mind will slow down. And this is one exception, or one way to understand uh, pranayama. The other way is pranayama, and splitting like this, which means stopping the breathing, stop the breathing, to not breathe anymore. And we do this in usually when we do a pranayama technique or a practice, we have this keeping the breathing in or keeping the breathing out. Kumbhakas are called in Sanskrit. Purna Kumbhaka means when we keep the breathing in, Purna means full. So Purna Kumbhaka with the lungs full of air. And for sure we have the other way when we keep the lungs without air. And we will see how we can use all this to help us in meditation and what is the signification of this. In Yoga Sutras, Patanjali described pranayama in 4 sutras, in 4 sayings. In the first one, in the chapter 2, Sutra 50, he says that the breathing is external, internal, or suspended. It's regulated in conformity with the space, with the time, and with the number, becoming long and subtle. What does this mean? So the sutra says like this: the breathing can be external, so exhale, internal, inhale, or stopped, suspended, which is the retention, in or out. So this is the 3 ways in which we can look at the breathing: inhalation, exhalation, or suspension. And it's regulated, so we can control the breathing according to space, how long from the nostrils is the breathing. And in traditional yoga, this is a way to understand how what is the quality of your mind. Because if the breathing is long, like the distance from the nostrils that we feel the breathing is long, then it means that you are agitated. If the length of the breathing is short and you barely feel the breathing, then you are very interiorized. So this is the saying. For sure, it is very hard to control this. You can do it for a short period of time. You can try to barely breathe and don't feel the breathing. But if you're agitated, what is happening? Your brain needs oxygen, needs a lot of oxygen. So if you try to breathe very shallow, so the breathing is very short, after a while, not very long, you will you will inhale more deeply because your body needs more oxygen. So the agitation of the mind is correlated with the uh, how deep you breathe and how fast you breathe. The more agitated you are, the faster you breathe. The more relaxed you are, the slower the breathing because you don't need so much oxygen. You can see this if you, I don't know, climb a flight of stairs or you climb a mountain. When you climb a mountain, what is happening? Because you are needing a lot of oxygen walking, then you hyperventilate to gain that oxygen that you need. But when you are very relaxed and I don't know, you sleep, then the breathing is longer. Yeah, maybe it's with sound or without sound, but it's longer. So we understand this length of the breathing that Patanjali says that you regulate the breathing according to space. How long is the breathing from the nostrils? But you can regulate uh, the space from where you're breathing. So you can breathe with the diaphragm going down and you will breathe with the abdomen. We call it abdominal breathing, but actually is the diaphragm that goes down and forces the abdomen to go out. You can breathe with the abdomen contracted and then the diaphragm will push the ribs out and up and you will breathe thoracally. I don't know exactly the English term, with the thorax, with the chest, yes? Or if both of them are not needed, then it's a very shallow breathing that is happening in the upper part. So this is also the space of the breathing, and you can control how you want to breathe. If you want to relax more, you will breathe more abdominal. Abdominal is because to understand better the breathing, imagine that your organs in the abdominal area cannot change the volume. They can only change the form, the shape. So your abdomen cannot become bigger or smaller. Yes, it can change the shape. Your abdomen goes out when you inhale because the diaphragm goes down. So the volume is the same, but the shape of the abdomen is different because you cannot compress the inner organs. They are like water. You cannot compress water. For sure, if you have gas in your abdomen or your stomach, for sure you can squeeze out that gas and the abdomen can change the volume. Or if you have gases, the abdomen becomes more obvious, more big. But otherwise, you cannot compress it. You can only change the shape. And changing the shape is done by this descending of the diaphragm. Yeah, the diaphragm is like a dome. And when you inhale, the diaphragm flattens and it can flatten by pushing out the ribs or pushing down the stomach, the abdomen. You understand? Yes? You understand? So when you want to breathe with the abdomen, what is happening if you push the abdomen up, the diaphragm will have to go down and you inhale. Yes? But if you keep the abdomen contracted, and some persons are having the abdomen contracted because of stress or other problems, then they cannot breathe so profoundly because the diaphragm cannot go down because of the abdomen which is contracted, yes? And then he cannot breathe so profound, and he will breathe only with this part of the uh, thoracal part, yes? So this is the space, the length of the air going out or in, or the part of the body with which we breathe. Then we can control the time. The time meaning how long will take to inhale, how long will take to exhale, how long we will uh, keep the breathing in or out. This is the time. How long is a cycle of breathing? And the number, for sure, we can control the rhythm. The number is the rhythm of the breathing. So like inhale two times, keep the breathing in 4 times, exhale 8 times, keep the breathing out 4 times. Like you can do it like inhale 4 seconds, keep the breathing in 8 seconds, exhale 16 seconds, keep the breathing out 4 seconds. This is the controlling according to the number, yes, creating a rhythm. So, or like in Samavriti pranayama, Samavriti, inhale 4 seconds, keep the breathing in 4 seconds, then exhale 4 seconds, keep the breathing in 4 seconds, and so on and so forth. This is also controlling the breathing according to the number, yes, these rhythms. And when you do all this, the breathing will become longer, so the cycle will become longer. It will take longer to inhale, keep the breathing in, exhale, keep the breathing out, and it becomes more subtle. So this distance of the breathing from the nostrils will become shorter. This is the subtle aspect of the breathing. It's like sometimes it's like you don't breathe because the breathing is so shallow, so smooth and shallow, you cannot feel the breathing. And for this to happen, you will inhale very long, keep the breathing in for a long period of time, exhale very long. And this is possible only if your mind is quiet and still. If you are agitated and have a lot of thoughts, you cannot go there. Again, because your brain needs a lot of oxygen. And if your brain needs oxygen, you will breathe more agitated. You cannot go around. You can try, but you will not succeed for a long period of time. So in the next sutra, in the 51 sutra of the chapter 2, Patanjali says that there is a fourth stadium, uh, a fourth part of the breathing which transcend the other ones from the phase of exhaling and inhaling. So what does he means? When the breathing becomes long and subtle, appears a fourth, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, a fourth type of breathing. The three main one are inhalation, exhalation, and retention, suspension. Yes, these are the three parts. The fourth one is like you don't breathe. You don't keep the breathing in, you don't keep the breathing out. It's like you don't breathe. It's not like you don't breathe, because if you are not breathing, you are dying. but it's so shallow and so long that it appears that you don't breathe at all. Yes, this is the meaning. And in the 52 Sutra, he says that in this uh, in this level, the veil that covers the light of consciousness becomes very thin. Yes. And in the 53 Sutra, he says, in this way, the mind becomes ready for concentration. So let's see what we find out from what Patanjali says. So he says that you can control your breathing according to the space, the time, and the number, so that your breathing becomes long and subtle. This is the fourth stage of, or the fourth level of breathing, which transcend the other three. And at this level, the veil, the covering that is covering the light of consciousness becomes very thin. So you can see through. Yes, it's like a see through. And in this way, you are ready for concentration. For sure, we will not try, because of the reason that I told you, we will not try to force this fourth stage of breathing, because it will appear naturally when we calm the mind. But for sure, the problem is to calm the mind in the first place. Yes. Because if the mind is calm, the breathing will become long and subtle. But if the mind is agitated, you cannot go there. And for this reason, we have different forms of pranayama techniques. In meditation, we use the breathing in different ways. And I will try to speak about a few of these that we use in meditation. But I want to understand that in preparation for meditation, so before we sit for meditation, we can actually use pranayama techniques like Nadi Shodhana, the purification of the nadis. You know, Nadi Shodhana is the way in which you breathe through different nostrils. We inhale from the left one, controlling with the right hand. So we inhale from the left, exhale to the right, inhale to the right, exhale to the left. And in this way, we switch the nostril through which we breathe. And this pranayama technique, which is classical, you find it in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, in Geranda Samhita, in Shiva Samhita. It's the classical form of pranayama. In some texts, when they speak about pranayama, they refer to this, they speak about this kind of alternate breathing through different nostrils. Why is this effective for quieting the mind? Because you see, the left part of the body is with the right part of the brain, and the right part of the body with the left part of the brain. And activating uh, the left and the right nostrils is like stimulating the left and the right part of the brain until they start to be in balance. In traditional yoga, this balance between the two parts of the brain, which is expressed in the two nostrils, it's called the shunya state of mind. Shunya means void. but it's not an actually void, but is this balance between the left and right, between the Ida and Pingala nadis, the uh, lunar and receptive aspect, and solar and emitting aspect. Because usually in our life, during the day and during the night, we have periods of alternating activation of the two nostrils and two nadis, the left one and the right one. So for about this vary between different people, but about 1 hour or 2 hours we breathe to the left nostrils, and then 1 hour or 2 hours we breathe to the right nostrils. And it's an entire field of yoga which is uh, dedicated to observing the breathing and the nostrils through which you breathe. And it's correlated with which is the right action to do when you are activated on the left or on the right. Because if you are activated on the left, it's better to do creative uh, things. If you are activated on the right, then it's better to do logical things, and so on and so forth. But when the two are in balance, so you breathe equally through the through nostrils, then it's time to meditate. Yes. So they say don't do anything because you will not succeed in your action if you are in this balanced state. The right action to do is meditate, because when the breathing is in balance to the left or and to the right nostrils, then they say Shushumna is active. And when Shushumna is active is a very good state for meditation. So this is traditional yoga. You will find it in Hatha Yoga Pradipika or Gheranda Samhita, these two very old yoga treatises, Hatha Yoga treatises. For meditation, it's a very good state to be. So in preparation for meditation, you can do Nadi Shodhana. Like Shivananda recommends to do Nadi Shodhana for 2 hours. So it's not short, it's very long. To find this perfect balance between Ida and Pingala nadis and to make the energies go through Sushumna, which can get you to awakening of Kundalini and all these kind of things. But for sure, we don't have that much time. When we meditate, we want to meditate. But if your mind is very agitated, you had some fight with someone, or you are very preoccupied with something that will be in the future, then it helps to do some pranayama before meditation. And for sure, if you have the time, the right progression is start with some asanas, with some hatha yoga, do some pranayama, and then meditate. You will see that when you do the things in this way, the meditation will be that much more profound, because your mind has the time to quiet down, and the breathing will become long and shallow. Yes, you will not need to breathe so deeply like in a usual state. And again, all the pranayama techniques, traditional pranayama techniques that are mentioned in these old yoga books, are meant to quiet the mind. For example, another traditional pranayama technique is called Shitali or Shitakari pranayama. The name means the cooling breathing, the breathing that cools you, that make you feel cool inside. Cool not in like cool young, but cool in like lower temperature. Yes. So uh, for this reason, people are using these techniques when outside is very hot, and they say, okay, I will practice this pranayama technique to feel cold, to feel colder. But if you read in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, for example, this practice is given not to lower your body temperature in the hot period of the year, but to quiet the mind. So to cool down the mind, not to cool down the body. But for sure, you will also get the cooling of the body. In India is very hot, so cooling the body is additional benefit. But what is of interest is this cooling of the mind. And for sure, any kind of breathing practice will quiet the mind. In Yoga Sutras, in another sutra in the chapter 1, when Patanjali speaks about ways to achieve that nirodha, that stillness of the mind, he also says that you can use the breathing out, the exhalation, and the suspension of the breathing, the keeping the breathing out. And it's another way to use the breathing to calm the mind. Exaggerate a bit the exhaling and keep a short pause at the end of exhalation. The reason for this is actually physiologic, is because of the way in which our body functions. You see, the inhalation is said that activates the sympathetic part of the nervous system. This sympathetic part of the nervous system is the part that creates the activation. The exhalation activates the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which is about slowing down, going to sleep, or these kind of things. So when you exhale, you actually tell the body slow down. For sure, usually we inhale and exhale equally. So our body is in a balance. Is not too activated, is not too relaxed. Yes. So the two are quite equal. We inhale and exhale about the same length. But for example, when we have a panic attack or we are in an anxiety, what is happening? We start to hyperventilate. Just what is happening when we breathe like this? We activate the sympathetic part, the sympathetic nervous system. So we become more agitated. We amplify that agitation. If we want to calm down a person that is having a panic attack, we usually what we in an old times, now I don't know if it's used anymore, but in the old times we put her to breathe in a bag. So to breathe in a bag means that it will lower the level of oxygen in the breathing. So the reason that hyperventilation is bad for us is because in our blood is a balance between the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Yes. Why is this balance? Because we have, I don't know, let's say we have 100 blood cells. Yes, we have 100 blood cells, red blood cells. So 50 of them have oxygen and go from the lungs to the cells. 50 of them go from the cells to the lungs with the carbon dioxide. Yes? So we have to have an equal number of uh, blood cells to go with the oxygen and to get the carbon dioxide back. If all our blood cells are tied with oxygen, then there is nobody to get back the carbon dioxide. Yes? So our cells cannot accept the oxygen because there is nobody to take back the carbon dioxide. So when we hyperventilate, we tie the oxygen in our blood cells, but there is nobody to, not enough blood cells to get back the carbon dioxide. So the body will not feel right, and we become dizzy and maybe faint. Yes. In the same way, if there is too much carbon dioxide and not enough oxygen, so there is the same problem. Yes. What is happening when there is not enough oxygen? And this is the reason that Patanjali recommends the exhaling part. When there is not enough oxygen, then the body will slowly shut down because he says, okay, I cannot feed you anymore. So maybe go to sleep. Yes. And for this reason, for example, is a very dangerous thing, the intoxication with carbon monoxide. You know this. When there is a burning inside, uh, and there is this carbon oxide, this one cannot get back from the blood cells. So it's not like dioxide. The monoxide is very dangerous because he remains glued to the blood cells. So what is happening when you are intoxicated with monoxide, carbon monoxide, you go to sleep because you feel sleepy. Your body doesn't have enough oxygen to keep your brain functioning, to keep your organ functioning, and it slows down going to sleep. The problem is that you will not wake up anymore when is this carbon monoxide poisoning. But we understand the mechanism, yes? For this reason, you will see in some meditation manuals, they recommend to exhale 2 times longer than inhalation. I think you encountered this, yes? Exhale 2 times longer. And you see, when we have some inner troubles, what we will do. Yeah, it's a deep exhalation. And when we want to relax, we yawn, which is a deep exhalation. Yes, shake, and it's a deep exhalation. So exhalation is coupled with relaxation and quieting down and slowing down the inner rhythm. And you will see in Buddhism and in classical yoga, they recommend exhale longer, as long as you can, and let the breathing in come naturally without any force, but exhale longer. For sure, again, if we are too agitated, it will need some time to exhale longer until we quiet down. It will be not very uh, fast. Yes, it's not like and that's it. We are calm down. We have to do more of this kind of exhalation, but it's a method. Another way to calm the mind through the breathing, the classical Buddhist way, is it's called in Buddhism anapanasati, observing the breathing. We will speak about this separately because you will see it's a fascinating subject and it's a very, very old technique. So imagine that it's practiced since the time of Buddha, 50, 100, 500 years before Christ. So for 2 millennia and a half, this practice is done in Buddhism uh, continuously. This observing of breathing. What it means is that you are aware of the breathing without intervening, without doing anything. So you are aware that you breathe in, you are aware that you breathe out. That's it. But you will see that this very simple technique has some profound effects, and we will speak about this next time in a text called Anapanasati Sutta, because the language of the Buddha is Pali, and instead of sutra, they say sutta. Um, it's expounded this awareness of breathing, Anapanasati, which you will see it's a very, very simple and profound technique in the same time. But until then, another way to use the breathing to calm the mind, it comes from Kashmir Shaivism and is that observing of the pauses between the inhalation and exhalation. And also, we will do a special lesson about this because, again, it's a very profound practice and has very profound uh, meanings. So, to summarize, the pranayama can be understood as lengthening the breathing, so breathe more slowly, or to stop the breathing, to become that very subtle form of breathing. You can do it as a technique before actual meditation, so do Nadi Shodhana or Shitari or Shitakari or any kind of other pranayama technique before meditation as a mean to calm the mind. Yes. And then during meditation, to calm the mind further, to become, to have a calmer mind, you can use awareness of the breathing, and we will speak about it uh, next time with that Anapana Sati from Buddhism. You can use the lengthening of the exhalation, keeping the breathing in, the inhalation normal. So exhale more, exhale longer. The usual recommendation is 2 times longer than the inhalation, but don't try to measure, oh, I inhaled 2 seconds, now I exhaled 4 seconds. That is not about this. Just try to exhale a little bit longer and keep the breathing out for a few seconds, 2 or 3, not long, because we want to keep the breathing as normal as we can. Yes. So start slow in this process. Don't go too far so that you can breathe quite as normal, but lengthening this breathing out. This breathing out will stimulate the parasympathetic, the nervous system, this part of nervous system that's calming down the body and the mind, and also will let the body be with less oxygen so that it will slow down naturally. If you feel that you are suffocating, you don't have enough air, that is meaning that you are not ready to go there, and let the breathing go normal. Yes. And the other way we have at our disposition, uh, disposition, is that pause in between breathings, a technique that comes from Kashmir Shaivism, and we will do this separately to understand it better. Yes, I just tell you now. And for sure, we practice every time we do Hridaya meditation. We borrowed this from Buddhism, from Kashmir Shaivism. So we observe the breathing to calm the mind, and this is from Buddhism, from Anapanasati. We do those poses in between breathings that comes from Kashmir Shaivis, from Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. So we will uh, examine this in uh, more deeply in the next lessons, so that we understand better why we do this. Because understanding better, it will help us to go there more naturally. Otherwise, we will force it, yes, and we will not gain the benefits that we can gain when we force it. So if you have some question, otherwise we will meditate. No question. Yes, it's just an introduction to understand better why it's important and why Patanjali is mentioning in this Ashtanga yoga, in this eight limbs part of yoga. Because again, yoga as a practice, it will have all the limbs present. Yes, it will have the position of the body, the asana, it will have the breathing, because the breathing will be transformed during meditation. The deeper you go in meditation, the subtle will be the breathing. And then we have the pratyahara, the interiorization, and so on and so forth. We will see that each part of this Ashtanga has some special thing. Yes, like we saw, the asana for meditation. Yeah, you can sit with the back straight and that's it, but you can also relax the shoulders. You can also relax your face in an inner smile. You can touch with the tongue the uh, palace, and so on and so forth. So you can use everything, and you can keep your hands in various mudras. So you can use all this to have a more profound meditation. Yes. So each part of these eight limbs has some special meaning, but in the other way, the way you sit in meditation is asana. Yeah, it can goes the other way around. When you are in meditation, everywhere, every which way you sit is an asana. The way you breathe is pranayama. Yeah, so it can go in both ways. When you are at the beginning, you will start with the body and the breathing, going to the meditation. When you're an expert, you meditate and your body will follow the meditation. It's like this. Yes. And for sure, in yoga, you will see a lot of times this affirmation: the body, the breathing, and the mind have to be in harmony. So the way you sit, the way you breathe, and the way you think will have to be in harmony for the meditation to happen. And for sure, it's difficult to control the mind. It's more easier to control the body and the breathing. So for this reason, a lot of practices are focused on controlling the body and the breathing so that we gain control of the mind. And again, this is written on a lot of classical yoga books. Classical means old, not this new agey thing, but old. The explanation you see that is in a way our body function, and they arrived at these teachings by observing how the body functions, how it modifies when they exhale more profoundly, how it modifies when they inhale more profoundly, and observing they came with all these practices. So let's meditate now. Because we are beginners, we will sit in a meditation pose until our meditation will dictate how our body sits. So we sit with the back straight. We find that inner balance in between the firmness of the pose and relaxation. So that is an intensity and also a feeling good. Finding this balance allows us to remain still for a longer period of time, transforming the stillness of the body into the stillness of the mind. We can follow all that teachings about how to sit, relaxing the shoulders, keeping the shoulders a little to the back so that the chest is more open, like we embrace everything with love and kindness and compassion. We can keep our hands in a mudra, in a gesture, in an attitude. We relax our face in an inner smile. That inner smile brings serenity, space, calmness. We also relax our eyes, keeping the inner sight in the middle of the chest. We look through our heart. We become aware of the breathing, awareness of the breathing, calming the mind, the gentle movement of air in and out. We become aware of those moments of stillness at the end of inhalation, just before exhalation starts, or at the end of exhalation, just before inhalation starts. Short moments of stillness in which the mind is quiet, not moving, suspended in between breathings, in between thoughts. We inhale, pause, exhale, pause. We try, if we can, to make the exhalation a little bit longer than the inhalation, just a bit, not much. Being aware of these pauses in between breathings help us to quiet the mind, to interrupt the inner stories. We are aware of this inner space of quietness, of stillness, this background of silence on which thoughts, emotions, sensations appear, remain for a while, and then disappear. Inhale, stillness. Exhale, stillness. We inhale into the heart, exhale, surrender into the heart. With each breathing, our mind dissolves into this inner space of silence, this inner space of the heart, Hritakasha. In this way, we become more centered in that inner space, that place that we point to when we say I. Here we start to ask the question, who am I? The answer is the existence itself. The mind cannot answer. So we ask the question, we are the answer. Who am I? Gradually we discover that this I am feeling, that answer to the question, becomes a tremor of the heart, a vibrating light so intense that we can just surrender, being without being someone or something, pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss, Satchitananda. So we dissolve into this I am. We are consciousness, we are bliss, we are eternal, we are infinite, we are. keeping the awareness of the spiritual heart, that pure I am feeling. We conclude our meditation now. We slowly enter the contact with the outside world by gently opening the eyes. And we end here today. Have a nice weekend and